Hello there, I'm Hannah Wise. Welcome along. Coronavirus, well, it's on our doorstep. Italy has over 200 confirmed cases with several deaths. This town in Italy is currently in quarantine. A joint expedition between the European Centre for Disease Control and the World Health Organization will travel to the country tomorrow. But with 325,000 cross-border workers every day, that's close to 70,000 from Italy, this situation is critical for residents here and the world's biggest companies based here in Switzerland. At present, the EU has not put restrictions on travel or trade. Today, the Swiss government, under pressure to react, have urged people to keep calm. They say that the situation is under control and they are in contact with Italy with a dedicated task force to monitor the situation. Anna Maria Montero is in Ticino now at the border. Anna Maria, what's going on?
Hey, Hannah. Well, I think that the feeling here at the border is very much reflecting what the Swiss government said today, which is to remain calm, because if you look around, it really appears to be business as usual here. It is quiet, not a lot of traffic. There are no signs, no postings, no one making any sort of declarations about anything, or it really is calm. And as a matter of fact, I popped into a kiosk just to compare headlines a bit. And I did find that while you see on the Italian side, you've got, alarm, there's panic, there are, in response to the recent spike in the coronavirus over the weekend. In Ticino, you've got, yes, we are aware of what's happening, but we are waiting and not taking any drastic measures at the moment. We're going to be waiting to see how things are going to move forward. Now, actually, as you said earlier, too, over 300,000 cross-border workers, of which about 70,000 come from Italy into Switzerland to work every day. So we did reach out to some of these companies. And funny enough, some of these larger companies are a bit caught by surprise still. Like, they're still having to work out their statements and figure out how they're going to react, waiting to see what the government is saying, which, of course, is telling them to stay calm. So I'm sure we'll be hearing more from these companies as the days move forward and how they're going to react with the virus. But actually, Tele Ticino information did say that Schindler Company, based in Locarno, was a company that had said they were going to tell some of their employees, especially those that work across the border, to stay home, just as a precaution. Now, in the next couple of days, again, the Swiss government will be releasing information at borders and at airports and warning people and giving them precautions, etc. So I'm sure we're going to be seeing a bit more action here on the border than we've seen today, Hannah.
Well, let's get the latest now with Dr. Margaret Harris, a spokesperson from the World Health Organization, who joins me now from Geneva. Thank you indeed for taking the time today. With Switzerland as the next frontier in the fight against coronavirus, how concerned should we be here?
Good afternoon, Hannah. There's certainly concern that there are now outbreaks, a significant outbreak in Italy, but the important thing actually is not to panic. The important thing is to understand that it's a respiratory virus, that you can prevent catching it by being careful to keep your hands clean, to ensure that you always cover your nose and mouth if you sneeze or cough, and that you pay a lot of attention to cleaning the surfaces, and also maintain good health, like stop smoking, improve your exercise regime, get more sleep. All those things will actually help.
You say not to panic, but I mean, certainly with the number of cases that we now have in Italy, how important is Switzerland as a major frontier between Italy and the rest of Europe as the spread continues?
So it's important to be aware of people travelling, certainly, and we know that exit screening, that is people leaving areas where there is known to be infection, really does work. And what I mean by exit screening is speaking to people, explaining to them asking them carefully where they've been, whether they've got any symptoms, but also ensuring that they understand what they need to do if they get ill, giving them a number to call and explaining to them what needs to be done.
Are you expecting there to be more cases, or certainly to be the first case in Switzerland by the end of this week?
It would not be surprising if Switzerland did not identify people who may have the virus. Now, remember, other countries have already seen people come to their shores with the virus, and they've stopped any further transmission. We've seen this in Australia, we've seen this in the UK. So there's no reason, again, to panic. It is important that the authorities are aware, but also that people are aware themselves that if they have any symptoms, they need to go and get care.
But certainly there's going to be a change in how the virus spreads, because you just said it there, you know, until now it's been people arriving from China into countries via air travel. Now we're in a situation where this is going to be passed person to person through multiple countries because it's here in Europe.
It's always been passed person to person, but it is something that can be stopped, again, by careful attention to personal hygiene, ensuring that you keep your hands clean, and also being aware that if you do have symptoms of a respiratory illness, contact the authorities, particularly if you're concerned that you may have coronavirus, but also cover your mouth and nose, ensure that you don't cough and sneeze on other people, ensure that you protect those around you.
Well, just on that point, I mean, and from a business perspective today, I mean, we live in a country where business associates shake hands, they kiss each other on the cheek when they meet each other. Should we maybe be putting a stop to these traditions for a while?
Again, if you've got a virus or if you're feeling ill, you shouldn't be coughing, kissing and touching. That's true.
But you also don't know with coronavirus because, you know, it's contagious during the incubation period. So I'm wondering if we should start to take preventative measures ahead of that.
It's not absolutely clear that that's the case. We're still investigating whether or not it can be transmitted during that period. But what is pretty clear is that this is the main method of transmission if people don't have symptoms. So therefore, indeed, we may have to think about limiting touching. But if you're touching anybody, make sure your hands are clean. You know, it's very simple. Carry a hand sanitizer with you. Be obsessional about good hand hygiene.
And finally, the G20 calling for a more coordinated approach when it comes to the coronavirus response. Is that key to containing this outbreak in Europe?
Working together is absolutely key. Sharing information, being very open, not being frightened. One of the problems with panic and fear is that people tend to hide things because they somehow see themselves at risk or at threat. So the most important thing is if we actually share information, we all work together and understand what's going on as quickly as possible.
Oh, well, we'll leave it there. Dr. Margaret Harris, thank you very much indeed for joining us.
That's a pleasure.
Well, Roger Worley is Deputy Head of General Economic Policy at Economy Suisse and joins me here in the studio. Thank you very much indeed for coming along. I mean, what do you think of this idea to stop shaking hands with our business colleagues? Do you think that would improve our situation here in Switzerland?
I'm not an epidemiologist, I'm an economist, so I would stick to the recommendations that the other people give.
But is business here in Switzerland now at risk because of the fact that coronavirus is right on our doorstep now?
It's not at risk at the moment, right? But I think there are some risks because we don't know what will arrive, right? We see that already in the data, also when we look at numbers in the firms, that the global supply chains are not working well anymore because a lot of components are built in China, for example, and so we see this global slowdown already in some firms.
Do you think the supply chain issue is the biggest problem that we're currently facing to the economy? Because we're also hearing rumours that certain companies have decided to allow workers to, for example, stay at home, work from home if they can. I mean, which is the biggest kind of threat here?
That's the other threat on the supply side. We've got other threats on the demand side, but that's the other threat on supply side, that we don't have any workers anymore that are allowed to work because it's better to stay at home. In Switzerland, we've got the advantage that a lot of workers do not have to be at their place of work because they work in the service sector or because they're developers in high-tech sectors where they don't have to be at the place you can work at home.
The stock market dropped heavily today. The SMI is down more than 3%. The FTSE MIB in Milan is down over 5%. Is this a worry for you? Is this a big red flag?
Yeah, that's a sign of the growing uncertainty. And when we look at the titles that dropped most, we see, for example, luxury brands like Richemont or Swatch, that is among the top losers of today. And so we see already the sectors that are mostly affected. So these are the luxury segments, but also logistics or the branches that are mostly into this global supply chain.
And of course, Switzerland relies on cross-border workers. I mean,
Yes.
this is a major issue for us. Are we ever so much more exposed because of that?
I mean, around 6.5% of Swiss workers are cross-border workers. So that's a huge number, but still, I think it's not the only threat, because we all travel a lot. It's now vacation season in Switzerland, and we all travel around the world, and that has the same impact.
I mean, what have you sent guidelines to your members? Should quarantine come to Switzerland?
We haven't set any guidelines at the moment, because we think that the Swiss government does a good job and will do a good job, and we will tell our members that they should stick to their recommendations. But still, we think that they should leave people at home if possible, that maybe they should reduce personal meetings if the virus really arrives in Switzerland.
And what do you make of the fact that Italy has introduced some tax relief for economic reasons? I mean, should Switzerland get ready to do the same if the virus comes here?
I think we shouldn't panic and we shouldn't take some short-term measures, because typically when we look at earlier episodes of pandemics, and we see that the economy slows down, but it recovers fast after. So as long as it is a temporary shock, I think we don't need any extra measures.
All right, Roger Velli, thank you very much indeed for joining us on
welcome.
this afternoon. OK, well, is this the Fasnacht Mask of 2020? The Carnival of Venice has been cancelled, but in Lucerne, the parade is taking place today. The Carnival Committee of Basel won't take any precautions for coronavirus, though, unless the Federal Office of Public Health decides otherwise, and that will be held next week. Tanja Koenig has been to Lucerne to find out more.
The Carnival of Venice has been cancelled due to the outbreak of coronavirus. We are here in Lucerne and people are actually not worried yet. They're actually all infected by the virus of Carnival. Is this mask against coronavirus?
No.
Are you worried about the coronavirus?
Oh no, it's the Fasnacht virus now. It's much bigger, much heavier than everything else. Carnival.
I think things are still fine. I mean, it arrived in Italy, but I think we are fine here still. So, but maybe some of the last days we have, yeah.
Okay, because Italy is not so far from Switzerland, so it's kind of getting closer.
Yeah, but we haven't had any cases here in Switzerland so far, so this is why I'm a bit relaxed. So, and just enjoy the beautiful day.
You still come to the Carnival?
Well, I risk to get it, but doesn't matter.
Are you not concerned, you know, the coronavirus getting closer to Switzerland and gather with all these people?
No, we have the mountains in between. Nothing can cross the mountains. We are safe. No problem.
And we are scientists, as you can see, so we are actually, very well prepared. So,
for the people here in Lucerne, the Fasnacht, the Carnival, is such an important event in the year that they just want to enjoy it while they can. Tanja Koenig, CNN Money Switzerland, Lucerne.
Well, you can get involved in the news today by checking out our social media pages. We are available on Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter and Facebook. And of course, you just saw it there, our address online, www.cnnmoney.ch, where you'll find all our content. Join us again tomorrow. Bye-bye.